If you would like more videos like this, consider joining my online library. It's only $15.99 per month, and you can cancel at any time. Here you'll get weekly uploads of new videos around pain management yoga, restorative yoga, Ashtanga yoga, chakra yoga, all sorts. So head to www.yogatraveleronline/membership to join. Hello, and welcome to Yoga Traveler Online. Today I want to convince you that yoga modifications make a huge difference in our yoga practice, in the way we feel when we're finished, in the way we feel in each pose, and how we can avoid potential injuries. Using yoga props, we're going to do these modifications. My favorite props: a chair, a blanket, a bolster, blocks, and a strap. Let's get to it. Let's start with a chair. What can we do with a chair in yoga? Because we're not standing, right? But we can use the chair to help us out. Now, some people aren't able to stand due to balance issues, so seated is the way to go. Some people aren't able to get onto the ground due to injuries and lack of mobility issues that they're struggling with. So again, seated is the way to go. You can do a warrior two by simply shifting to one edge of the chair and engaging. And look how I look. It's beautiful, right? We have this inner thigh opening. We've got the chest open. We can reach into it, and we don't have to worry about balance, and we can get some good flexibility. We can turn this and it becomes more like a warrior one. All of a sudden I can feel my hip here. I can feel this glute. Definitely the inner thigh is getting a nice stretch. How about through the middle? Coming forward, Prasarita Padottanasana. I can press against my thighs and pull back and feel this inner thigh stretch. All of these wonderful things. And of course, you're going to do these kinds of poses on the other side. What about engaging our hips? You can shift one foot up onto your knee and fold forward. All of a sudden, I'm getting my outer hip, which is a stretch that we would often do on the ground or laying down, but I can do it on my chair. I can even twist, crossing my leg and twisting, or even just keeping the leg down. Oftentimes we might do a twist standing or seated. We can do it simply on the chair. If you're able to balance and stand, then you can stand using the chair for balance. Say you're working on a tree pose. Here we are. I've got my chair. I can engage my leg. I can lift one arm, just gently touch off the other, whatever. You can use it for lunging, like pyramid poses or lunges for the ankles. Placing your hands on that chair is a really great balance. And all of a sudden I can feel my hamstring. I can feel the backs of my legs. Bending the knee, you can get into the ankle and the calf. So the chair becomes a prop, a tool to allow you to stretch without having to go down to the floor. The last thing that I love about layering some props together, if you've got blocks, a chair, and a strap, you can do a forward bend on your chair. Make a little tower of blocks, place that heel, take your strap around the ankle and fold forward. And all of a sudden I've got a seated forward bend where I can very much engage this hamstring and lengthen out my leg. So adding props together, everything that we do in yoga can be done on a chair. It just takes a little bit of creativity, but it makes yoga possible. Modifications make yoga possible. Let's talk about what we can do with two blocks in a yoga pose. One block is fine. I like to have two. Let's see what can happen if we use them. So when we reach toward the floor, sometimes we can't get all the way. We end up placing our hand on our leg, which is totally fine. But if you had a block, you might be able to go just a little bit deeper and still feel supported. So Trikonasana becomes the block on the floor right by the big toe and reach up to the sky. Blocks have 3 different heights. So here I have it on the highest height. I could move it down as I build my flexibility and down even one more time as I just build up a little bit more. And eventually, who knows, you might be grabbing your toe. Same thing goes for Parsvakonasana. We can do it with the arm on the leg, and that's, again, perfectly fine. This is a modification. But say you want to use a block, you can place it on the pinky toe side of your foot and put your hand down upon it. And again, it's got 3 heights, so you play around with it. What height feels good to me? What is the depth that I need to go in this pose today? So that's one of my favorite uses for the block, being able to reach for the floor with the help of the block. Another really great one is pyramid pose. We did this on our chair. You can frame your foot with the blocks and place your hands on the blocks. Then you don't have to feel like you need to bend this knee in order to reach the floor. And of course, adjust them as you build flexibility on the way down. Got it? If we're on the ground and we're using blocks, they might prop us up. A pose that comes to my mind is Baddha Konasana. Not all of us can bring our knees all the way to the floor. I cannot. So sometimes it feels nice just to rest your legs on those blocks. It's just a little extra support. And then when you fold forward, you can deepen it out. Uttanasana Konasana, the blocks might be something that we reach toward as we come into the pose. Just something to grab onto to provide a little resistance as we get deeper and deeper into this bend. And finally, I love a block on the ground, on our back, in a bridge pose. It becomes a very restorative bridge pose if you lift that block underneath your hips and then rest on it. We can still stretch the front of the body, but the block is doing all of the work. Really great tool to use to help our bodies get deeper and deeper into the poses and provide ourselves with some support as our bodies are adjusting to the yoga poses. A yoga strap. What can we do with a yoga strap? A million things. The 2 things that come to my mind right away are mobility and flexibility. In standing poses, when we have our arms behind our backs, a strap is really helpful in order to increase our mobility. So say you were in Prasarita Padottanasana C with the hands behind the back. The pose asks us to pull the hands away from the back. So in that pose, we can press into the strap, look up, inhale, exhale, fold forward. And where we might have been here, see, as my hands are closer, I can't pull away. But as I reach my hands further apart from each other, I can pull further and further into my shoulders. So you can go as far as you need to with the strap. Great way to build up a little bit of shoulder mobility and through the chest as well. Then in seated poses, it helps with flexibility. Say you want to do a forward bend, but it's hard to reach your toes and you just don't feel like you're getting very much stretch here. So you engage the strap. Put it around the feet, take a breath, inhale, and all of a sudden, you can walk yourself forward along that strap. There's a little bit more pressure and a little bit more engagement through the leg because now we don't have to worry about reaching the toe. We can still feel that nice, deep stretch. Behind the back with Gomukhasana, With our arms, there's that mobility again. You can place your strap around the legs in the air as well. Sometimes when we reach our legs to the air, we're just really tight in our hamstrings, and then our abdominals have to grip so hard. Instead of making them work so hard, just put the strap around the feet, and all of a sudden you have something to pull and tug on. And the legs can get their nice deep stretch, but the abdominals can have a little bit of a break. And you can feel that engagement of the leg. Stretching purposes, a strap is wonderful. Gently pulling and tugging to get this flexibility, opening up through the hips. You can do a whole series of stretches, keeping a really good alignment and quality of stretch because we don't have to worry about reaching our hand to the toe. That's the strap's job. What can we do with a yoga bolster? Bolsters bring to mind restorative poses to me, but also a lot of support for the hips and the low back specifically. We are asked to sit on the floor a lot in yoga. Some of us meditate, sometimes just the start of a class. What if your hips are extremely tight? It is much easier to elevate your hips and allow these hip flexors to open up. So if it's hard for you to sit on the floor in an extended period of time, try sitting on a bolster. It's just a big pillow after all. So this is a great way to gently open up your hips. You can do forward bends on the bolster as well. Sometimes when we are very tight through our hamstrings, let me show you without, we can't quite get a 90-degree angle. We might sit kind of back a little bit because our hamstrings are just really tight. So when we add a bolster to the equation, all of a sudden there's a lift through the hips. It adjusts the angle of the back, and I can sit at a 90-degree angle while keeping my legs straight. And then I'm going to grab my strap to reach for my feet. Yes, we talked about the strap in the last segment. So a bolster just helps to add a little bit of lift, to take some tension off the hamstrings, off the hips, off the back, so that you can deepen into your poses. There are millions of poses you can do while up on a bolster. Things like hurdling the leg around the side, I'm lifted on my hips, and I can twist. Because maybe if I were to do this pose on the floor, I might be kind of leaning over because my hips are tight. These things can create some good support for us. On our back, we can do all sorts of things like restorative poses where we might layer a block underneath, lay down against the bolster. This feels really nice, opening up the hips. This is a wonderful pose for pregnancy. All of these kinds of things, and probably my favorite use of the bolster is in Shavasana. Sometimes it's hard to lay flat on the floor, so you put a bolster underneath. All of a sudden, it elevates your knees just a little bit, helps us to tilt our pelvis just a little bit, and we can lay on the floor without feeling the strain and in discomfort in our back. So play around with the bolster. Anytime it feels uncomfortable, sit on it. Place it underneath the legs. Prop it up under your hip, and you'll find relief for your body. You might even be able to get a little bit deeper into the pose, and over time, you may not need the bolster, but I love it. So you might still want it just because it feels good. Our last prop is a blanket. How am I going to use the blanket to help me? The thing that's great about the blanket is it can be opened up. It can be rolled into a nice little ball. It can be wrapped around. It's very movable, right? Malleable. You can spread it out across your body. Let's talk about what we might do with a roll. I like using a roll in a chest opening pose. So I'll lay it down on the ground and then lay myself over. My rib cage is on that on the roll of the blanket, and there's the arms extended. Now I'm going to turn these by my sides. There we go. And I have a nice chest opener for the front of my body here, my heart center, my neck and throat. And the blanket is supporting me, and it's very comfortable because the blanket is soft. And I can adjust how deep that roll is. A blanket can be a really great prop for a pigeon pose. So again, kind of a rolled shape. If I can't quite bring my hip all the way to the ground in a pigeon pose, I can use a blanket, prop that little roll underneath, and all of a sudden I'm able to do the pose because I've got some support underneath for my hip. You can use a blanket to sit upon, just like you might with a bolster. The advantage of a blanket is it's just not quite as big as a bolster. It's maybe a little bit more portable. So the forward bend that we did before, where we couldn't quite reach the floor, the blanket is just going to help elevate us so that we can sit nice and tall and do the forward bend. Not quite as bulky, it won't give you as much lift, but maybe it's just enough. I like to take the blanket underneath my arms sometimes in a twist. To stretch this arm, if I let my legs fall to the side, maybe this arm doesn't quite come to the ground, so the blanket can just give a little bit of support. And now that I'm on the ground, of course, if you get chilly during Shavasana, then you can lay your blanket upon yourself and feel cozy, comfy in Shavasana. So, again, a lot of uses for a blanket. The main thing is, if you've got these props with you, around you, and you're practicing yoga and you have them close by, the likelihood of using them is greater, yes? Make your yoga possible. Modifications make yoga possible. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you find your favorite yoga prop. Drop it in the comments below. What is your favorite yoga prop, and how do you like to use it to modify your yoga poses? See you next time.